earlier. Still getting a lot of text messages about the exorcism we did for the Tampa Bay Rays on the text line. If you missed it, you want to listen to it, it is there for you on the iHeartRadio app. Just search The Nick Wize Show, and you can listen to it on demand anytime you want. Joining us now is Rays sideline reporter Ryan Bass, working on his day off. Ryan, you didn't have to come on today, but I do appreciate you. I hope you didn't feel pressured because I know you don't get many days off.
Never. I'm always happy to, always grateful to. And listen, as a man who works for multiple gigs, not just Rays, I'm always working. So happy to carry it over to you guys as well here at WB.
You are always the busiest guy because every time I see you in the press box, I want to say hi. You're always on the phone. You got something you are the busiest guy in sports. I'm like, you know what? I'll catch him in a minute, and then I turn around and you're gone, and I see you on TV in the outfield. I'm like, how did he even get out there so fast?
I don't know if I deserve the busiest man in sports title, but listen, if you're busy, it means you're doing good things. And listen, the goal overall is to always have an engaging, fun, and an informative broadcast, and so that requires dedication and attention. So we try to do that each and every time out, my man.
No, you do a great job. Ryan Bass, Rays team sideline reporter, joining us today on the Nick Wize Show. Yesterday on Twitter, I saw you had to play therapist for some Rays fans, telling them to relax.
It's not working very well, by the way. It's not working very well.
We've seen the Rays kind of start fast in the past, and they kind of fall off in similar ways, kind of like what's happening now. So I understand why people are reacting the way they are. Why do you think, this team might be differently, and it's not something like what we saw last year when they were, I believe, 11 games over 500 at one point, and then kind of just fell apart really after Johnny DeLuca went down, oddly enough.
Listen, in true therapist form, I should be telling Rays fans, well, tell me how that makes you feel. And listen, I get it. And I also understand the PTSD from last year, right? Where this team went on that incredible run from May to June, and then the wheels fell off. Like I understand the pessimistic perspective, right? But that team last year didn't have the ingredients this team has, and they also weren't in a position that this team is currently right now. And so I like to take the big picture perspective. I know that fans will freak out over, looking at what the Rays have done during this stretch where they've been outscored 74-37, where their pitching staff has fallen apart, and where injuries have come into play. And I understand that. But if you just zoom out for a second, right? And if I was to tell you, and as I've said this on Twitter this morning, if I was to tell you on June 4th, the Rays would be 13 games above 500 and in first place in the American League East and have the fourth best record in all of baseball, any Rays fan would have taken that. And that is the perspective I'm trying to give. I totally understand why the sky is falling for some, but I'm also going to tell you this is a very small sample size. Remember, this team started 2-5 this season, right? And I heard all of it. I heard all well, here we go again. This team's going to be terrible. They're going to be the worst in the American League. They're going to be fifth in the division, and look where they are now. Okay. So I think with everything, you just need perspective. There were times earlier in the season where the bullpen couldn't get it together. That is where we are now. There are times earlier in the season when the offense couldn't string together those timely hits. Well, we saw they got that together. There were times earlier this season where the defense was letting them down. Well, guess what? During this 2-8 stretch, it has been letting them down. It is the ebbs and flows of the season. And as somebody who is in that clubhouse each and every day and is talking to the guys, the level of confidence they have that they're going to get this right, I think should speak volumes. You have leaders in that clubhouse and guys that are taking accountability for some of what has gone wrong here as of late. But you also have a team that I feel like is connected, complementary of each other, and I think has a lot of pieces that can really start to string this together. The schedule, by the way, is favorable coming up, and I know looking at the Tigers, worst team in the American League coming in at Tropicana Field, but that team had some ingredients to a team last year that was basically in first place, and they had a terrible May, kind of the opposite of what the Rays had. They were tied for first place at the end of April. So again, there's the ebbs and flows of the season. Teams are going to go through this. My advice to Rays fans is breathe, take a step back and breathe. Everything is going to be okay. It is why we have preached this team built an incredible pad for themselves. They still have a high probability of making the playoffs. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be in contention for the division. And I think the overall perspective I would provide is this. Yes, they're going through injuries. Yes, it looks bad now. They will get out of this, and they will get back to playing Rays baseball.
Yeah, the thing I was saying about the Tigers series is they got a bunch of guys back. They got Gleyber Torres back, Kerry Carpenter back, just in time to play the Rays. And Melton, who we saw yesterday on the mound, was phenomenal. That was, I believe, his third game back.
And Riley Green is one of the best hitters in the American League. Like, they have Dingler looked like an MVP candidate, right? Like, I think they have a pretty good squad over there that listen, ever since Scuba went down, they were struggling, right? And I think they're starting to click a little bit, just like kind of the Rays were last month, and they put it all together in that series. And I mean, they put it to the Rays, right, in every facet possible. They scored early, they scored often, they hit 10 homers in that series. I'm not saying that wasn't an awful series for Tampa Bay. It was, but I try to look at the totality, and I try to look at how this group operates and what the mood in the clubhouse is. And listen, I've been around many Rays teams that when they go through ruts like this, they're sulking. There is a lack of confidence. There's divisions or ruptures. That's not happening right now. These guys have all the confidence in the world that this is going to get turned around, and I think it will. And by the way, turned around, they are 13 games above 500. They have the best record in the American League, and they're first in the American League East. And it is June. Rays fans, be happy with what you have, because I think we've got a really special team that will get back to their winning ways. And again, benefiting from a weak American League this year too. So everything's going to be fine. Just take a breath. Take a breath, Rays fans.
Ryan Bass, Rays TV, joining us right now on WDAE, the Nick Wize Show. You know, you're in the clubhouse often, and we had a caller. I heard a caller call T-Crash yesterday and mention it, and I actually had one right before you came on talking about there's this narrative around Tampa Bay that this team doesn't have a leader. I don't think that's actually true, but as someone that's in the clubhouse, who is that vocal leader that's going to stand up and say, guys, we got to get our heads out of our asses here and start playing baseball? Who is that guy?
That couldn't be more inaccurate, right? And by the way, any caller that says that doesn't watch every game, doesn't have the pulse of this roster, and certainly isn't paying attention, because Nick Martinez is basically I've had Richie Palacios tell me he's our president, El Presidente, right? He is the guy that has come in and become the vocal guy, leading the post-game celebrations, leading some of the off-the-field team camaraderie moments, right? Shane McClanahan has been another one, and you'll see him all the time. He's always there talking to different teammates. And Junior Caminero is one of the most vocal and physical leaders you'll see. I mean, watch every time something positive happens for this group. A clutch hit, a home run. He's the first guy to run out of the dugout. He's the first guy hopping over the railing to go congratulate his teammates. So for anyone to say that there's a lack of leadership in this club is not paying attention. I think there's a lot of guys that are leaders in their own individual way. I did a story on it on our on Wednesday's game about Jonathan Aranda to lead off the broadcast, where even he's soft spoken. He doesn't speak up often, but when he does, people listen. And with his play, that leads by example. So, anyone that is claiming that there is a lack of leadership among this group is sorely mistaken. They're not paying attention. And I will tell you, this group has a number of them and a number of key voices that are going to lead them through what they've gone through right now.
You're talking about Jonathan Aranda. We're talking to Ryan Bass, Rays team reporter, Rays TV. What are your thoughts on Jonathan Aranda not winning AL Player of the Month for May? I thought that was wild that he didn't get it.
He and Kurtz had similar numbers, so I can understand the argument of a toss-up between the two. But, when you lead all of Major League Baseball, not just the American League, but all of Major League Baseball in average and on-base percentage for a month, and, throughout the course of that month, he was pacing the American League in runs driven in, I think it's a shame that he didn't get that nod. Again, there might be those on the other side that would claim that there were other deserving pieces. By the way, Shane McClanahan and Nick Martinez should have been in the running for AL Pitcher of the Month as well. So, listen, I think it's a classic case of the Rays getting overlooked yet again, from a national perspective. That's okay. This team embraces that. They don't mind that. They're okay that everybody is doubting them and asking if it's sustainable and doubting, some of the guys they have. But I think this team legitimately has 5-6 All-Stars on it between Yandy, Aranda, Junior Caminero, Nick Martinez, Shane McClanahan, Brian Baker, maybe Drew Rasmussen you could add in that mix. I mean, they've got a lot of high-quality guys that I think are deserving to represent this club at the Midsummer Classic. So, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be good. Jonathan Aranda is continuing to have a great season, and I think if he stays healthy, he will. Yandy's going to be there. Chandler's going to have a bounce back and get that average back to 300. Everyone is wondering when Junior's going to hit home runs. He leads the club with 14. That's tied for top 6 in the American League. Everything's going to be good. This team is going to keep rolling, and I think they'll get everything figured out.
Real quick, before I let you go, Taylor Walls, any update on him? We expect him in the lineup tomorrow?
Yeah, I would say so. Look, Kevin Cash admitted the other day, he took Taylor out in the opening game of the series when Tigers were up 6-0 to try and conserve the hamstring, right? And talking with Taylor prior to that game, he had even said, this is something that he's going to have to manage, right? It pops up from time to time. So the thought process has been, he was removed early from the game Monday, didn't play Tuesday, didn't play Wednesday, off day today. That gives him 3 days kind of off his feet. And he's been doing some light pregame work. But I think that's what this is all about, kind of maintenance for that hamstring. And by the way, he is one of the most important key cogs for this group. When he is in the lineup, this team consistently wins. And so that, despite what some may say about his offensive numbers, and I think you've seen signs of what he can do offensively, this man is in that lineup and is there at shortstop to be the defensive anchor for a group that relies on defense pitching and playing type ball games. And he does it better than anybody, I think, in the league, and most underrated defensive player in the game, in my opinion. So he should be back in the lineup tomorrow. And this will be a hamstring issue he'll have to manage from time to time, but I think he's going to be okay, and I'm excited to see Walty back out there.
Ryan Bass, Race TV, Race Sideline Reporter. Ryan, appreciate your time today. Have fun in Miami, but not too much fun, okay?
Everybody just breathe. It's going to be okay, all right? If I have to play therapist, I'm happy to. I won't charge. It's free charge. Just message me on Twitter. Everything's going to be okay. Deep breath.
At Ryan Bass on Twitter. Send all of your complaints there, and he'll work it out with you. Appreciate your time, Ryan, and we'll talk soon.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.